Before the end of the age, before the world as we know it would tremble, Jesus spoke words that would echo through every generation. Words of warning, yes, but also words of hope. Words meant not to bring fear, but to open the eyes of all who would listen. Jesus said, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. The world would shake. The foundations of nations would tremble. But Jesus warned that what we see on the surface is only the beginning, a sign of something far greater unfolding beneath history itself. He continued, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. And you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. The love of many growing cold, a world filled with deception, truth fading, hearts hardening. Yet even in the midst of darkness, Jesus spoke of endurance, hope for those who remain faithful, a promise that the faithful will be carried through to the end. Jesus said, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." Not chaos, not destruction, but the gospel, his message, reaching every corner of the earth. This, Jesus said, would happen before the final moments of the age. Then Jesus spoke of a sign unlike any other. "When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains." A moment of great upheaval, a moment that signals the world has stepped into the final chapter. Jesus described a time of distress so great that no other period in history would compare. He said, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Even in judgment there is mercy. Even in tribulation God remembers his people, and Jesus warned again of deception, a deception so strong it would shake even the faithful. He said, "If any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before." And then Jesus revealed the moment the world will never forget. "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." These are not the words of fear. These are the words of a king returning for his people. The world will shake, the heavens will tremble, but his light will break through the darkness, and every eye shall see him. Jesus then spoke a parable, A simple lesson to help us understand the timing of these events. Learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. The signs are not given to frighten us. They are given to awaken us, to remind us that history is moving toward a divine appointment, a moment determined by God Himself. Jesus ended with a warning and a promise. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. The kingdoms of this world will fall, the empires of men will crumble, but the words of Jesus remain forever. And in these words, we find both truth and hope. And Jesus continued to speak of the final days, comparing them to a time long forgotten, a time when the world walked blindly toward judgment without realizing the hour. Jesus said, "As the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Life would appear normal. People would continue in their routines, unaware that the world around them was shifting toward its final moments. Just as the people of Noah's time ignored the warnings, so too would many in the last days ignore the signs spoken by Jesus Himself. Then Jesus described how sudden His return would be. "Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord does come." A sudden moment, a dividing moment, a moment that no eye expects and no heart can anticipate without vigilance. Jesus urged His followers to live with awareness, not fear, but readiness. He said, "If the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man comes." The greatest danger He warned of was not persecution, not wars, not famine, but spiritual sleep. A heart that grows comfortable, unaware the times, unaware the signs unfolding all around. Then Jesus spoke of two servants, one faithful and one careless, a picture of the human heart in the last days. He said, "Who then is a faithful and wise servant whom his Lord has made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord when he comes shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods." The faithful servant watches, not with fear, but with devotion. He tends to what is good. He lives with purpose. He keeps his heart awake. But then Jesus described the other servant, the careless heart, the distracted life. "But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delays his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looks not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of." The warning is gentle but clear. It is not the world that blinds us. It is the heart that forgets to watch. Jesus then gave a picture of the kingdom of heaven at the end of the age, a story that reveals the weight of preparation, the importance of spiritual oil, the flame of devotion that must never run out. "Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. The wise carried oil, a symbol of readiness, a heart burning with devotion, a spirit awake. The foolish carried lamps, but no oil, a life with outward faith, but no inward fire. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom comes. Go out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go instead to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. A closed door, a final moment that cannot be undone. A picture of the last generation, those whose hearts burn with readiness, and those who allowed their flame to fade. Jesus ended the parable with a call that echoes across every age. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man comes. These are not words meant to frighten the world, but to awaken it, to stir the heart, to lift the eyes, to remind every soul that the story of humanity is not random. It is leading to a divine and glorious return. The world may grow dark, nations may shake, hearts may grow cold. But for those who watch, for those who keep their flame burning, the return of Jesus is not a moment of fear. It is a moment of hope, a moment of joy, a moment when every promise will be fulfilled. In the days after Jesus finished describing the signs of his return and the warnings for the final generation, the disciples listened with a mixture of awe and trembling. Everything he spoke carried weight. Every sentence felt like prophecy unfolding right in front of them. And so Jesus continued, revealing not only the signs of the end, but the final scenes of all human history. He spoke about the moment when every heart is revealed, every life brought into the light, and every soul stands before the one who knows all. And Jesus said, When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. It would not be a hidden coming, not a secret moment, not a quiet whisper, but glory, visible, undeniable, shaking heaven and earth. He continued, And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. A moment of eternal separation, not by race, not by status, not by earthly success, but by the truth of a person's heart revealed by their actions, by how they loved, by how they served, by whether they lived as children of the kingdom or as slaves to themselves. Then Jesus spoke of the reward prepared for those who lived with compassion and obedience, the ones who lived out their faith with humility. Then shall the King say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. A kingdom prepared before creation, a home designed long before the first sunrise, a place made by the hands of God himself. And Jesus revealed the evidence of this kingdom-hearted people. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in, naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. The righteous, confused by such words, would answer, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king would answer, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. A staggering truth. Every act of kindness is seen by Jesus himself. Every hidden good deed, every unseen sacrifice, every prayer whispered for another. He counts it as love given directly to him. But Jesus did not stop there. He also revealed the fate of those whose hearts remained cold, those who refused mercy, those whose lives bore no fruit. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Notice, the fire was never prepared for humans. It was made for the devil. But humans who join him in rebellion will also join him in his destiny. Jesus continued with the reason. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in naked, and ye clothed me not sick and in prison, and ye visited me not. They too will ask, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? And Jesus said, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me. Then he concluded with finality, And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. With these words, Jesus showed the disciples that the end of the age is not only about signs in the sky, wars, famines, earthquakes, false prophets, and persecution. It is also about the heart, the character, the life lived while waiting for the King. The judgment is not a surprise. It is the harvest of the seeds we plant each day. And so Jesus continued teaching them about readiness. He spoke the parable of the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish, to warn us all that the greatest danger of the last days is not wickedness, but carelessness. He said, Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps, and went forth to meet the bridegroom. All 10 expected him. All 10 believed he was coming. All 10 had lamps, but only 5 prepared oil, the fuel of perseverance, faith, devotion, and obedience. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him. Midnight, the hour when the world sleeps, the moment when many hearts grow distracted. Yet at that same hour, the cry will echo through the earth. Jesus warned, Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Still, his warnings were full of hope. Yes, the days will be dark. Yes, the days will be dark. But the darkness is not the end of the story. For even in the heaviest storms, the people of God have always found light, not because the world became brighter, but because he who is the light never left them. Jesus continued revealing the reality of the last days, not to frighten his disciples, but to give them courage rooted in truth. He wanted them to understand the path ahead, the trials that would test the world, and the hope that would sustain his people until the very end. Long before the book of Revelation was written, Jesus himself spoke of the signs that would shake the heavens and the earth. Not only signs on the ground, but signs in the sky. Cosmic disturbances that would capture the attention of every nation. And Jesus said, There shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. He described a world trembling beneath the weight of fear, a world running out of answers, a world where everything familiar is shaken. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. But to his followers, Jesus gave a different command. Not fear, not despair, not hopelessness, but confidence in the midst of collapse. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Every eye will see him, not just believers, not just a chosen few, but every nation, every tribe, every person alive. And Jesus said, "And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh." The same events that terrify the world will cause the children of God to lift their eyes in hope. Jesus never painted a picture of a peaceful world that slowly drifts into his kingdom. No. He said the world will shake, the nations will groan, the earth itself will tremble, but his people will not be shaken, because they know the one who holds the future. He continued with a warning that stretches through every generation. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. When kingdoms fall, his words remain. When economies collapse, his promises remain. When the world loses its direction, his truth still shines. And then he spoke the parable of the fig tree, a simple lesson with prophetic depth. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. Every generation has seen part of these signs, but the final generation will see them all, global, unmistakable, undeniable. Jesus emphasized the importance of spiritual vigilance, not fear, but readiness. Take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. The danger Jesus warned about wasn't worldly wickedness, but distraction, the slow, creeping pull of everyday life, the weight of worry, the numbing of spiritual hunger. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. But then he gave the instruction that has echoed through centuries. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Watch, pray, stay awake, stay faithful, stay ready. Not out of fear, but out of love for the one who promised to return. And Jesus made it clear that his return will not be hidden, quiet, or secret, but overwhelming, glorious, and visible to all. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. The entire sky will declare his arrival. The earth will answer with trembling, and the nations will stand speechless before the King. Jesus described a moment when the very atmosphere of earth changes. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Not one person will miss it. Not one heart will be untouched. The proud will fall, the nations will tremble, but the faithful will raise their heads in joy. For he will send his angels with a sound that will pierce through time and eternity. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. A gathering unlike anything the world has ever seen. Not scattered, not forgotten, not lost, but gathered into the arms of the one who died for them. This promise is the anchor of the believer, the hope that endures every hardship. The King is coming, and he will not delay. But Jesus also wanted his people to understand something deeper, that his return would not only be a moment of glory, but a moment of separation, revelation, and truth laid bare. For he said, "Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant," he said, "who remains faithful even when the world grows reckless, even when many fall asleep, even when others say in their hearts, 'My Lord delayeth his coming.'" Jesus warned that in the final days many would grow careless, treating holiness lightly, treating sin casually, forgetting the fear of the Lord, forgetting that the Master is watching. But he promised, "Blessed is that servant whom his Lord when he cometh shall find so doing, faithful, steadfast, watching, ready." Yet Jesus also spoke of the servant who forgets, who lives for himself, who mistreats others, who allows his heart to drift. The Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of. A warning not for the world, but for those who once knew the truth and let it slip through their fingers. For Jesus said, "Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh." He made it clear, the greatest danger of the last days is not persecution, but spiritual sleep, a slow drift, a quiet cooling, a heart distracted. Just as in the days of Noah, life looked normal. People laughed, ate, married, worked, and lived as though nothing would ever change, until the very moment the skies broke open. And Jesus said, "As the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Not a peaceful transition into the kingdom, not a gentle fade into eternity, but a sudden, unmistakable moment when God himself steps into history. Two will be in the field, one taken, one left, two grinding at the mill, one taken, one left. Jesus used this picture to show the suddenness, the finality, and the personal nature of his return. Not just nations judged, but individuals, families, souls. And so his message echoes through every generation. Watch, not with fear, but with longing. Not with anxiety, but with expectation. Not with panic, but with purity of heart. For the King is not returning to punish his bride, but to gather her. And he will not forget even the weakest believer who held on to him through the storm. Even now, the signs he spoke of are awakening the world. Nations rising against nations, the love of many growing cold, people fainting for fear, truth becoming rare, the earth trembling in ways the prophets foresaw. Yet Jesus said, when these things begin to come to pass, look up, not down in despair, not around in confusion, not back in regret, but up. For the one who promised to return cannot lie. His words are more certain than the ground beneath our feet, more secure than the strongest kingdoms, more unshakable than the mountains themselves. The world may tremble, but his promise stands firm. I will come again. And when he does, every wrong will be made right, every tear wiped away, every wound healed, and every faithful heart rewarded by the Lord who sees all. The King is coming, and his people will be ready.